baby, read.
James, 2 seconds, 1 second to the win. LeBron James delivers. That's a winner in Cleveland.
All right, everybody. Welcome to another edition of the Wall Street Journal podcast. Today we got me and Deep talking about the playoffs. 3 games into the Western Conference semifinals and 2 games into the Eastern Conference. Game 3's today in the East, going on. Sixers Celtics happening right now, and Cavs Raptors later tonight. So Deep, I think a lot has been said, but we got to talk about it. LeBron, man.
LeBron James, as they say.
That's the mood right now. I mean, the commentator in the last game literally labeled the city LeBronto because that's how much he's owned them.
Another year, another series of Cavs, Toronto, another big disappointment for the Raptors. I mean, if there was ever a year for Toronto to actually capitalize on this and beat LeBron and actually make it past them to go to the finals, or in this case, just the semifinals, this was the year. I mean, I can't remember a worse supporting cast for LeBron, and once again, Toronto's effing it up.
Yep. I mean, so the Raptors won 59 games this year, franchise high, number 1 seed, and everybody's like, all right, this is the Raptors year. They completely changed the way they played. They're not relying on Lowry, DeRozan isolation anymore. And it's like, all right, this is their time. LeBron, like you said, such a bad supporting cast. They look terrible at times in the regular season. No one's playing defense. Even the Pacers, they took them to 7 games, and the Pacers looked like the better team throughout most of that series.
Yeah.
And somehow, here we are, LeBron's up 2-0. So, I mean, at this point, are you one of those guys who will entertain the fact that LeBron might be the GOAT, like better than MJ, or are you just like, nah, it's MJ?
So I grew up in the era of LeBron, so LeBron will be my personal GOAT, and I think he solidified that status as the GOAT probably after that first Cleveland finals victory. I mean,
when they came back from 3-1.
That's never been done in the finals. I don't even necessarily know if MJ could have done it. And with the cast that he had, MJ probably could have done it with one of those Bulls teams. Let's be honest, the Bulls teams were a lot better than any of the Cavs teams that LeBron's been on. But for LeBron to do what he did that season in that final series, I think that put him up as GOAT. And even what he did the year before, just literally dragging the entire team through the playoffs into the finals and taking the Warriors up to Game 6.
The first year when he came back to Cleveland.
Yeah, that first year, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's just incredible. So the thing I've noticed about LeBron is that when he actually believes in his team, so the thing about LeBron, right, is we've seen both sides of him. In 2010, the first time when he was on Cleveland, and right before he left for Miami,
right,
he just crumbled in the playoffs in that Celtics series. And you realize, like, yeah, he wasn't really believing in that team, and he wasn't playing up to par.
Mm-hmm.
And same with that 2014 Miami team against the Spurs before he came back to Cleveland.
Yeah.
In the finals, they lost in 5 games, and you could tell LeBron realized, like, the writing's on the wall for this team, and they're just not up to par with what he wanted. But right now, it's weird. So in the Pacers series, he kind of looked like he's like, whatever, like, I don't know if this team can really make the finals. But these first 2 games, man, he's like cheering his teammates on, like even guys like I don't know how this happened, but Tristan Thompson is back somehow. Like LeBron, like.
So here's my theory on Tristan Thompson. I am guaranteeing you right here, right now, that LeBron hired whoever that model was to cheat on Tristan, so that way he broke up the Kardashian couple, breaks the Kardashian curse, and now we have the Tristan that we have now. I do not put it past LeBron to do something like that.
He hired his agents, and I mean, LeBron's so powerful, right? He could just, because in 2016 they won the championship, and right after that Tristan started dating Chloe.
Right, and right
then
after
they lost in 2017.
Exactly, and so LeBron saw the writing on the wall. He's like, you know what? I gotta break this up whatever way I can. Reached out to his LA contacts, got the hose out into the club, and the rest is history. So now here we are.
Yeah, or my theory is that, I don't know if it's really a theory, but Tristan's got to focus all his energy on basketball because he knows he ain't going home to Chloe now. Like he's got nowhere else to be. All he's got is basketballs, and I mean it's just crazy. Like LeBron is like cheering on Tristan. He's like cheering on even Kevin Love, like who's looked so beaten down at times.
I think I really saw that shift in his focus or just his demeanor back in probably Game 6 against the Pacers. That's probably the first time I saw him actually like hustling, going in for the steal.
Or you mean 7 or 5? because 6 they got blown out
Oh,
by
so
30.
sorry, 7. I think that's where I really saw him just kind of like take it up to the next level, right? I mean, in the past, we've seen LeBron in the first 2 rounds of playoffs just, be like, okay, I'm going to blow through these guys anyway. And just not try
usually
that
by
hard
now
on
he's already
defense.
swept through 2 teams.
Exactly. By this point, he's probably resting, getting ready for these conference finals. But to see him actually try on defense for the first time in a couple of years before the Eastern Conference Finals is pretty refreshing to me. And to see him cheering on his teammates, to see him just evolve his game, right? I mean, what was it? I think he was talking about it in the press conference after the game where he was talking about how Dwayne Casey pointed out that he didn't have a fadeaway game during that 2011 series against the Mavs in the finals, right?
Yep.
And he actually credited Dwayne Casey for giving him, I guess, the wherewithal to develop those skills, and then he went ahead and put on a fadeaway clinic right in front of Dwayne Casey's face.
I mean, so I think this is like a true mark of greatness, right? When a guy is he's so good that he's almost, I feel like he was almost taking this like really tough fadeaways just to show it to the other team that, hey, I can make these now.
Yeah.
Or almost like, feel like he's run out of challenges that he's like, all right, let me try taking these tough ass fadeaways and see if I can make it. I mean, let's be honest. All right, he was clipping his fingernails in the middle of the game because he could not.
I did not see that.
Yeah, so
That's just disrespectful.
They showed a clip where he was clipping his fingernails in the middle of a game because he couldn't be bothered less by Toronto at this point.
I mean, what do you do with your Toronto at this point? How do you stop LeBron?
So Toronto came into this series. So game 1, they're like, we're gonna double LeBron, and because they're like, all right, his role players haven't shown that they've been that effective, so let's double LeBron. But then game 1, those role players started to show up. JR's making threes, Corbett making threes, even Love made a big 3 in the 4th quarter. Tristan Thompson grabbing offensive rebounds. They showed up. So game 2, Toronto's like, all right, they made the adjustment. They're like, we're not gonna double LeBron now, and we're gonna just stay one-on-one with him. And then he just completely owned them. Like, so they thought, like, all right, we'll put that rookie OG Anibui.
Yeah, that guy is not the answer.
And then he went to bench Siakam. They put Siakam on him. They put CJ Miles on him. Like, there's no way that he can guard LeBron.
Well, not even that. They try to put CJ Miles on Kevin Love. Right? Did they just forget that Kevin Love is actually an amazing post player?
Yeah.
And that's how he scored his 31 points. I don't really recall Kevin Love shooting that many threes, right?
Right.
I mean, for
or
him,
even if he did, he wasn't making that many. Yeah.
Exactly. And then he was like, okay, you know what? If you're going to put CJ Miles on me instead of respecting me and putting, an actual big man
like
on me.
Ibaka or someone.
Right, yeah. I'm just going to go ahead and post up all over you guys. And props to LeBron for realizing that. And props to LeBron for realizing that this OG guy is not DeMari Carroll or is not whoever they tried to defend him last year.
Yeah.
And he just goes off.
Yeah, and they've tried DeRozan. He didn't work either. I think it's just a really bad matchup for the Raptors. This was something we saw in the last 2 games when Cavs and Raptors played. They just have no answer for LeBron. He's been a bad matchup for them. Not only this year, this whole decade or half decade. Like, LeBron just owns Toronto. They got no answer for him. And I'm sure that this is the worst case scenario for the Raptors. They were probably praying that the Raptors got the 3rd seed so they can avoid, the Cavs got the 3rd seed so Toronto could avoid them in the 2nd round. But just an unfortunate scenario for the Raptors.
Is it just psychological now for the Raptors?
I think so. I think they step onto the court and they stay. In the 1st quarter they come out firing. They're like, all right, we're gonna turn it around today.
Yeah.
But then as the game goes on, LeBron just like keeps on coming and demoralizes them.
Yeah, I think the only thing that's going to save the Raptors right now is the new Drake album. Something to hype them up, something to get them back in this series. But, I mean, they're going back to Cleveland, right? They're going to have 2 more games there. Is that it for Toronto? Is the next time the Toronto facility opens up for training camp?
It's looking like a sweep, yeah. I mean, unless the role players, like, completely shit the bed and they don't show up again. But even if they don't, like, what are they going to do about LeBron? Last summer, it's interesting, right? With Toronto now, last summer, everyone's like, oh man, like, they're going to break this up.
Yeah.
But then they're like, no, like, let's bring back Lowry, let's bring back Ibaka, we'll change the way we play. And the results show they earned the number 1 seed, they played really well. And then they still if they can't even get past the 2nd round still, I don't know. Maybe this is like when they actually start to break it up, but they can't just like let these guys walk. Everyone's signed to multi-year deals. Lowry, Ibaka, DeRozan. So it'll be interesting to see who's the fall guy there.
Well, let's fast forward a couple games, right? Let's just assume LeBron and the Cavs sweep Toronto, right? And we talked a little bit earlier how maybe it's time for the Portland backcourt to break up, right? We talked about that in the first episode.
Yep.
Is it time for the Toronto backcourt to break up if they actually end up losing the series?
You may have to, but they're going to have a hard time breaking them up because Lowry's he signed a 3-year, $100 million deal, and DeRozan is also on a similar max deal. And I don't know if other teams see those two guys as max players. Toronto sort of had to sign them to max deals to bring him back, but I don't know if other teams. And the problem now is because of that 2016 summer where teams were just spending like crazy. There's barely anybody with cap space who can bring on these max players that Toronto have in Lowry and DeRozan.
Yeah. Plus, they're also best friends forever, so you can't make that up.
Yeah, I mean, they may just have to rely on internal improvement with their young guys and just run it back because they can't really trade these guys.
Yeah.
And
it's hard to believe that, we were all talking about Dwayne Casey as coach of the year, and he has yet to make any adjustment, at least any adjustments that I've noticed to try to stop LeBron, and it'll be interesting to see what he does tonight.
Yeah, and the biggest surprise is coming into this series, it was unexplainable that the Cavs were, the Cavs, they were pretty big underdogs. I think the odds were plus 160 for the Cavs. Mm-hmm. So, and it just didn't make sense because LeBron's owned them for so long. But
yeah, well, let's segue to a team that's actually made some adjustments to their game plan. The New Orleans Pelicans.
Yeah, so last night came out on fire, and man, playoff Rondo showed up last night. 21 assists, a career or a Pelicans franchise high in a playoff game.
Are you telling me Rondo's had more than 21 assists in a playoff game before?
No, sorry. This is the most that a Pelicans player ever has had in a playoff game. 21 assists.
Wow.
Anthony Davis finally beats the Warriors in a playoff. He was 0-6 coming into that game. They were just they just blew the roof off on the Warriors last night.
Yeah, I mean, AD's post game last night just really impressed me. And the fact that Alvin Gentry made that adjustment to say, hey, there is nobody on the Warriors that can defend AD. It's not Draymond, or maybe Draymond's got him on the perimeter, but he's not big enough to guard AD in the post, right?
Yep.
Looney is not athletic enough. JaVale's not athletic enough. Sorry. to cover AD in the post either, right? So what's the answer?
They got no one to stop AD, and few teams do, right? I mean, he's just a monster. You can't really stop AD. You could just hope to contain him. The one thing I'm kind of curious to see if Steve Kerr will try this is maybe put KD on him. So it'll be tough for KD because then he'll be having to expend so much energy on defense. But I mean, now that Steph is back, there's less offensive load on KD. Because KD's the only one who could be match up with him in height and length. Obviously, Davis will own him in terms of just his physical size.
Yeah.
But KD's tall and long enough. But there's no way to stop Anthony Davis.
Do you think the Warriors can continue to outshoot whatever AD can produce?
Yeah, I think that's their only the blueprint because last night they didn't shoot well and that's why. But I think more than the game, what's been interesting is the Rondo and Draymond Green beef. You see that what happened last night?
Yeah, apparently you have an interesting theory behind this beef.
So yeah, I was on Twitter and I was reading some theories on why Rondo and Draymond hate each other. So last year when Paul Pierce announced his retirement, during one of the Warriors-Clippers games, when Pierce was on the bench, Draymond and Pierce were talking some trash, and Draymond was like, "You think he told Pierce basically, you think you're gonna get a retirement tour like Kobe? They don't love you like that." And he basically dissed Pierce, and Rondo, going back to the Celtics days, is a huge Paul Pierce guy, and he still owes his allegiance to him. And apparently that's why Rondo hates Draymond.
Well, I mean, I don't want Rondo coming after me, but I mean, I had a problem with Paul Pierce's retirement tour too. I mean, there's a guy who's bounced around the league for the last 5 years of his career. Does he really deserve a farewell tour? The only guys that deserve a farewell tour are Kobe Bryant and Derek Jeter. Not even Michael Jordan deserved a farewell tour, and now Paul Pierce wants one too. So I'm kind of in the Draymond boat here. I'm sorry, Rajon Rondo. Please don't come after me.
Is it Rajon or Rajon?
I don't care, man. I just don't want to come after me because he's probably top 5 dark alley team.
Yeah, that's apparently why. So Rondo tried to trip Draymond yesterday. They're basically trying to instigate Draymond into getting some technicals, and then hopefully he'll get ejected, and then the Pelicans turn this series around.
Oh, I'm fine with that. Just rack up the technicals, Dre, until you get to the finals when you face LeBron, and just one more. You have a game for Game 4, and the Cavs sweep the Warriors to win their second championship in 4 years, calling it.
Damn, bold prediction right there.
Well, I'm just saying, from what I've seen from the Warriors over the past 2 games, and from what I've seen from the Cavs over the past 2 games, how can you not?
Yeah, so what do you think, what happens in Game 4 in this series with Pelicans-Warriors?
So they're going back to... Oh, they'll still be in New Orleans, right?
Yeah, for Game 4.
I mean, what I saw from the Pelicans defensively, they really stopped the perimeter. I mean, Drew Holiday's defense.
He's a beast.
On the perimeter is insane. There was somebody else, I can't really recall the name, but whoever was guarding Clay last night or 2 nights ago, he was a beast too.
Yeah.
Right, so they've kind of figured that part out. I don't know if the Warriors can figure out the AD part out. You know?
No, I just think there's no answer. So it may just be one of those series that goes 7 games now. Like the Warriors at home, they'll get those foul calls that they don't get on the road.
Mm-hmm.
And same with the Pelicans. Like Anthony Davis is so hard to basically officiate. It's kind of like Shaq and like all these dominant bigs, where you can call it so many different ways. You can call a foul on the opposing guy who's guarding Davis every single time, or you could just be like, all right, tonight we're not going to call it. Like he's just too good. We can't give him the fouls. I feel like he'll get those calls at home, but won't on the road.
Yeah, I don't think the Warriors can really be all that successful running their standard half-court offense. I think it's really going to be on transition offense and just making sure they get those easy buckets or those transition threes with Steph and Clay. If they have to get into an half-court motion and that defense for the Pelicans comes out again, or they have AD just clogging up the paint, preventing Steph from driving in, preventing Clay from driving in, shutting down JaVale, shutting down Looney or whoever other big they have that I can't name. I don't think they can win like that.
Yeah. It'll be interesting to see Game 4. If like the Warriors also came out very flat last night, so what I'm interested to see is like if Game 4 they like come out with a little bit more sense of urgency.
Yeah.
So going on, so you said like LeBron, he's gonna go to the finals. So we all know he's gonna get to the Eastern Conference Finals. The question there now is, like, who's he going to face, right? The Celtics or the 76ers? And this series, man, it's been, like, going, like, completely... so, just a quick update. 2:30 left in the third. Celtics up 69-64. So, I actually thought Sixers would win this game in a blowout. Like, considering they're down 0-2.
And they're playing at home, and we know how Rockets the Philly crowd can get.
Yep.
And this is exactly why Brad Stevens is the MVP for the Celtics.
He's got to be the best coach in the league, right?
So I was listening to a segment by Will Kane from ESPN, and they were essentially doing a draft, right? You were able to draft any player, any coach in the NBA currently. Mm-hmm. He had Brad Stevens going number 8 in the draft.
Wow.
He is the 9th or
so in terms of players and coaches, he goes number 8.
Well, I think there were 8 players he would pick before Brad Stevens. LeBron, KD.
Yeah, that makes sense. But still, even then, like...
their 3 best players are gone.
Yeah.
No Kyrie, no Hayward. I mean, if you want to have the conversation between Jaylen Brown or
Game 1, but Jaylen Brown was out. Yeah.
It's unfathomable. I can't think of another coach that would be able to do this.
Yeah, I mean, it's just crazy. So I think what happened was everyone was hyping up the 76ers so much coming into this series, and no one was really giving the Celtics a chance. Yeah. And then it was just like the Sixers got too maybe full of themselves a little bit. And
I mean, as NBA fans, we've just gotten so sensitized to the fact that to win in this league, you need to have superstars.
Yeah.
Right? And you need at least 2 superstars or a big 3 consisting of 1 superstar and 2 all-stars at the very minimum. And there's this guy from Indiana just completely just turning that model upside his head.
Yeah.
And just winning without, his stars from last year, right, are gone. Mm-hmm. His stars from this year are gone.
Yeah.
Right. The only remaining piece is Al Horford.
Yeah.
Right. And if you're telling me Al Horford is your key to winning a playoff series, I don't think anyone's gonna buy that. Right? And this guy is doing it.
So here's the quick thing I noticed about Brad. Whoever he has in that point guard role or lead guard role. So whether it's Isaiah Thomas or this year Kyrie and now Terry Rozier. He does a tremendous job.
Even Shane Larkin's falling too. Oh my goodness.
So Brad does a really great job of whoever's at that point guard role or lead guard role. he gets so much out of them, and he elevates their play to another level. Like Isaiah, like we saw as soon as he left Boston. Granted, he had the injury, but not like the same player, right? Kyrie comes from Cleveland to Boston, and now he looks like he just made he made him like an all-around player now.
Mm-hmm.
And he's making Terry Rozier look like an all-NBA guard the way he's playing.
Who is Terry Rozier?
That's what Eric Bledsoe said.
I haven't heard anything about Terry Rozier all season until Kyrie went out, and then he all of a sudden started balling. I don't know what he's feeding his point guards out there in Boston, but whatever it is, keep doing it because he's about to make Terry Rozier a $100 million man.
Yeah. I mean, it's going to be interesting. Celtics have some decisions because Rozier and Marcus Smart, both free agents.
Wow.
But the point guard on the other team, Ben Simmons, game 2, 1 point. I don't know what was up with that.
The defense was good. It was definitely there by the Celtics. How many shots did Simmons take?
Not that many. And the thing is, so I read this article on The Ringer, and it was like maybe Ben Simmons does need a jump shot. I mean, he's been getting through it like without it. But when you play a really good coach like Brad Stevens, he'll pick apart at your weaknesses and deficiencies. And we know Ben Simmons is that he can't shoot.
Well, I mean, the shooting definitely needs to be there, but there's also something to be said for his aggressiveness, right? I mean, if he's only going to be taking, I think it was maybe like 5 shots that he took last game, he needs to be more aggressive than that. And that aggressiveness is what led the Sixers to be successful, right? If they're afraid of Ben Simmons getting into the paint and passing it out and kicking it out for a 3 or going in for a layup or a dunk, that's what makes the Sixers successful. And when he's not doing it, they're not going to win.
Yeah, Embiid can't do it on his own. And their whole 76ers offense relies on Ben Simmons driving and kicking it out. But yeah, so it's 69-68 now, Celtics going into the 4th. So it's still close, man. I mean, the Celtics could very much be 3-0. Like I thought the 76ers would be up much more by now.
Yeah, we might have to wrap this pod a little just so you can catch
the 4th quarter. All right,
my goodness.
So some quick thoughts on our last series, the Jazz and Rockets. So after that game 2, Jazz gave a little bit of the scare to the Rockets. Everyone's like, oh my God, this is the same old Rockets. CP3 with his playoff troubles, Harden playoff troubles, D'Antoni playoff struggles.
So, quick disclaimer. I did not actually watch the game last night because I am tired of watching the Rockets play and watching James Harden just dishearten the game of basketball, so I watched Civil War for the 6th time. But again, the reason I'm not watching the Rocket series is because it's so frustrating to watch James Harden. Yes, he's exciting when he gets those fade back threes, I get it. But to watch him foul hunt for 40 minutes is not an exciting brand of basketball. To watch him ISO for 20 seconds and then take it out for a 3, Errol Gordon or Ryan Anderson, or whoever it is.
Yeah.
I just don't want to watch that, and it's boring basketball. I'm sorry, I have to say it.
No, I mean, so the Rockets are one of those teams that, for their own fans, like Rockets fans, they're an awesome team to watch. But for everybody else, it's just like Harden at the top of the key, 4 3-point shooters standing behind the line, and then it's just Harden being really good and really smart. They'll either figure out how to solve the defense, either drive and kick, or take it to the hoop themselves, or you put Capella in there, throw it an alley-oop to him. Yeah. That's pretty much the Rockets' offense, and it's been unstoppable. Last night, they were up by 30 at halftime. Finished the game, there was a blowout loss, from end to end. Yeah. And then it just showed basically the Rockets didn't come out with that same fire they did in Game 1. They came out completely flat in Game 2, and then Game 3 they were the Rockets again.
What's Utah's answer for James Harden?
They got no answer at this point. I mean, they put Donovan Mitchell on him. He could slow him down. I mean, the only thing is you hope that you could funnel. So, quick interesting point, right? Watching this series, same thing that the Jazz are doing the exact same thing, what they did to Russ, right? They're funneling Harden into Rudy Gobert and hoping that Harden can't get those drives because Gobert's there. Yeah. And whereas Russ struggled with that, and it may just be like the way the team is built. It's when you can even when you funnel Harden into Gobert, he just kicks it out to all his 3-point shooters. Right. Whereas Russ didn't have those same shooters around him, or he just took the shot himself and it wasn't as successful. So it's been a nice comparison seeing the Jazz having to play the Thunder or the Rockets right after they played the Thunder.
Yeah, I read an interesting article that said Kobe Bryant reached out to Donovan Mitchell and said he has to approach the series just how Dwayne Wade approached that final series against the Mavs back in 2007?
Oh, yeah.
2006. Is that enough for Mitchell to overcome the Rockets?
So, yeah, I think the problem is like they're also missing Ricky Rubio, who's really good in that Thunder series.
Yeah.
And Mitchell's already doing so much for this team. Now he's like playing their point guard basically, and there's just one guy short on, and the Rockets' talent level is too much. I think the Rockets win this next game, Game 4, and then close it out in 5 games. The talent level is just so disparaging between the Rockets and the Jazz.
Yeah, I don't think the Jazz can really win with forcing Mitchell to be both the distributor of the ball and the primary scorer. I just don't think that's...
It's too much. I mean, he's a rookie, right? At the end of the thing is we forget he's a rookie because he's so good.
Yeah.
But it's hard. The Jazz definitely have a bright future with this team.
Yeah, I mean, that's what worked for them in the Oklahoma series, right? Who would have thought Ricky Rubio would have been the key for our playoff series, but there it is, and now they're Ricky Rubio less, or I think now we have to start calling Rick Rubio after that performance he had a couple weeks ago.
Yeah.
And it's just not enough, and I feel bad just because Utah's had this level of success after losing Gordon Hayward, which, you know, everyone was calling them a top 3 lottery team at the beginning of the season. Here they are, and just ran into a mammoth of a team in the Rockets.
Yeah. All right, guys. So me and Deep are going to go watch the 76ers Celtics game, the 4th quarter.
What's the score right now?
It is 70-69 Sixers. They just took the lead. Started the 4th, 11:24 left. So we're going to wrap up this podcast so we can go watch the game.
Yeah.
And we'll catch up with you guys next week, and it'll be interesting to see what developments have happened by next week.
Peace out.